Okay, so fifth class, here we have our fractions, all right? So what we're trying to do is write an equivalent fraction for each. So we know an equivalent fraction now is a fraction, it's a different number, but equals the same fraction, right? So for example here, we have to write an equivalent fraction, okay? So they can't all be the same, they have to be different fractions, all right? So for example, 1 over 2, what's an equivalent fraction of that? What fraction, it doesn't use 1 or 2, but it means the exact same thing. What can we use? So maybe what can we do to the bottom of it? So what can we do to the bottom to get an equivalent fraction? Maybe we could multiply by 6. Okay, if we multiply the bottom by 6, what do we get? 12. Okay, now if we multiply by 6 in the bottom, what do we do in the top? Multiply by 6 as well. So what's 1 by 6? 6. Okay, that's all you have to do. So 6 over 12 is the exact same as 1 over 2. Because we know 6 is half of 12, so this is a half, and this is a half as well. So the exact same fraction, we're just using different numbers. Alright, so what can we do down here? 1 over 3. What can we do? So we'd have, maybe for example, multiply it by 9. Okay, so what's 3 by 9? So 3 by 9 is 27. And if we multiply the bottom by 9, what do we do to the top of it? Multiply by 9 as well. Okay, so 1 by 9 is equal to 9. Alright? Exact same fraction, we're just using different numbers. Alright? Do you understand? So you have to write 1 for each of them. I don't want any of them to be the same. Okay? So you can't use 6 the whole time, or you can't use 2 the whole time. So you have to use different numbers each time, right? Okay? So different numbers. And now you're going to go on to another one. And you're going to have to write 2 equivalent fractions for each of them. Okay? So 2 equivalent fractions. So for example, over here, 5 over 12. What can we multiply the bottom by? Maybe 2. And what do we get? So 12 by 2 is equal to 24. And if we multiply the bottom by 2, what do we do to the top? Multiply it by 2. So 5 by 2 is equal to 10. Okay, so that's one equivalent fraction. Now we need another one. Okay, so what else could we say is an equivalent fraction to that? What if we multiplied the bottom by, let's say, 4? What would we get then by 4? So 12 by 4 is equal to, what is it? 48. Okay, and what's over it? We have to multiply, if we multiply the bottom by 4, we have to multiply the top by 4. So 5 by 4 is equal to 20. Okay, so what are our 2 equivalent fractions? Our 2 equivalent fractions are 10 over 24 and 20 over 48. Alright? So they're still the exact same fraction, they're just using different numbers. Okay? So 10 is still 5/12 of 24. Right? They're just different numbers, they're equivalent fractions, right? So I need 2 from each. Alright? So 2 in each. So you're going to be doing this on Class Dojo. You're allowed to have, say for example, if you multiply by 2, you're allowed to use 2 twice. So you can use 2 once up here and once down here. You cannot use it more than twice. So for example, I would do a list on the side. So like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I keep going. And then once I do 1, okay, I use it once there, and then maybe I use it down here, 2. Okay, I use 3, so maybe once here, so 1, and maybe once down here, 2. Okay, so I keep crossing off. You are not allowed to use, for example, 2 every single time. You cannot use 2 every single time. right? So you have to use different ones, okay? You cannot use 2 every time or 3 every time, right? And you cannot use 1 either, because that's not an equivalent fraction, it's the exact same fraction, right? So it has to be a different fraction, right? Okay, if you have any problems with that, just contact me in Class Dojo and I'll explain it again to you, right? Or just watch this video again, because it should be very clear for us to see. We should know what equivalent fractions are now, right guys? Okay, and then last one then, on page 56, okay, we have question 3, right? So what fraction of the children are girls? Okay, so first of all, we have to find our denominator. So what's our denominator? Our denominator is the whole, alright? So the whole amount. So what's our denominator? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So our denominator is 8. So all of our fractions, when they include everyone, are going to be over 8. So what fraction are girls? So this is our numerator now. So the part we're looking for. So our numerator is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So 5 over 8. So that's A, right? A. So we're going to write down A, and we're going to write down our fraction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 over 8. And then we're going to, next one is B. So what fraction of the boys have school bags? So here they ask you of the children. And now here they're asking you of the boys. So is it going to be over 8 this time? No, because how many boys are there? There's only 3 boys. So what fraction of the boys? So it's very important, the of the is very important. If it said of the children, it would be 8, but it says of the boys, so it's only 3. Alright? And how many of them have school bags? So 1, 2. Does he have one? No. So 2 out of 3 of the boys have school bags. Okay, you have to be very specific here now when you're looking at what they're saying. So what fraction of the girls have long hair? Okay, of the children. Okay, of the children, boys. Okay, it's very important you look at that. Because if you say the children here, you're going to have 8s. While down here you should have 8s, but here you should have 5ths, okay? So the girls, there's only 5 girls, so if you're looking at the girls as a whole, then they can only be 5 of a whole, right? So you have to pick maybe, so for example, what fraction of the girls have long hair? So long hair is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's not 4 out of 8, it's 4 out of 5. Because there's 5 girls and 4 of them have long hair. Alright? If you have any problems with that, contact me in Class Dojo. Right? Because this might be a little bit difficult. Okay?